All right, everybody. And good morning. Good day, good day, good day. And welcome to another entry of All for Success. I am so glad to see that some of you are able to log in with us and join us on this short chat and journey, talking about everything all for success. This is a Sussex friendly channel. I am a big supporter of our family, Harry and Meghan, little Archie and baby Lily. And I like to always let everyone know that I come from a perspective of a parent of adult children. I like to see myself, in a sense, in the role of Miss Doria. I am interpreting what I see going on in their lives as any parent would as they watch their adult children move through the challenges of this life. So I hope you all can join in and enjoy some of the observations and things that we talk about. And this channel also, you can put a comment in if you like about any other topic, because every now and then I'll just divert and talk about other things. But once again, good day, good day, good day. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let people know how the channel is going along. I am somewhat of a novice to the YouTube streets, but I'm enjoying what I do, and I hope to get much, much better at it. All right. Now, that being said, we've got that out of the way. So, as you see the coffee being made on screen, I want everybody to either, if this is your morning before you're getting ready to run out and do your errands, get your coffee ready, get your coffee in, settle down, and just take a moment of deep breaths and relax, because what I don't want to do is to spin you into an epic pain fest. That is not what we're trying to do here. It's just mere observations and things that I would like to call attention to as we notice them. So grab your coffee. Now, of course, if coffee is not what you have time for, or if you've already done that and you've gotten started on that, then what we're going to do is get ready to jump right into what we are hopefully planning to talk about. And I'll go over a few little things, and we'll just chat about it like we're on the phone, sitting and having fun with each other, maybe in and around the kitchen table. All right. Now, if those of you who have been paying attention to all things going on with the Sussexes over, say, the past week, and I have to explain, I generally don't make any type of commentary until the end of the week. And the reason that I have found that this approach seems to work for me is, if you notice, and let's go back to things that the UK media are trying to present to the world, you need to be aware of one thing in particular, and that is what they consider flooding the zone. What they have done, what their process is, especially with the Duke and Duchess of Success, it is to just overwhelm you with constant commentary, comment, and negative stories. They are overwhelming you. It's almost like my one of my children and I, we had a conversation about songs that, you hear a song and you don't particularly like it, but because it's played all the time, everywhere you go, it's on the radio. If you're scrolling through things on your telephone or Instagram or YouTube, you'll see clips of that same song. And it's not that you particularly hate the song, but you know that it's not anything you're interested in really listening to, but it's played all the time. We were thinking about that, and we were commenting on the fact that after a while, for whatever reason, you'll find yourself humming it. You'll be walking along down the street, or you'll be at work, and all of a sudden you'll be humming that tune or singing that song. But you are really, you're actually aware of the fact that you particularly didn't like the song. Okay, media. Please understand media. It is a studied and practiced environment. It has been a 100+ year um, corporation, or rather, I would say, institution of how to influence people in the world with the media. That is an institution. I mean, we have ad firms, there are advertising campaigns. The amount of money that is paid to get people to be influenced by what they read, see, or hear, it is one of the largest businesses in the world. And we need to keep that in mind when things are being forced down your throat into your vision and around everything you hear. So, in that way, the UK media is continuously pressuring the world to see only the story they present. That is, Harry and Meghan bad. All right, royal family, wonderful royal family, good. That is the only story they're putting out. And every time you turn around, no matter what the topic, it is going to devolve into the conversation. Harry and Meghan, bad, they're awful, they're bad, they're awful. And what have they done to the royal family? They've destroyed them. They're trying to destroy the royal family. That's important. Okay, so keep that thought, kind of keep that in your forefront as you are consuming media. Know that you need to block that in a way. I mean, being aware is half of the battle. Being aware that, okay, this is being fed to me. And trust, here's the good thing. Here is the really good thing. It would appear that nowadays, and I do not know why, but it is becoming obvious that for reasons we do not know, it is starting to fail. It's beginning to not work. Now, laugh along with me if it's because perhaps the United States and the UK went through an episode of fake news situations, that perhaps that era, as what do you call it, as off-putting as it may have been, the era of being presented with leadership that told you basically don't believe anything you're being told, right? That leadership didn't realize perhaps that the flip side is, well, no one will start, people will not believe you either. And I think that maybe we went through that era, and that is what is causing many, many people to pay very close attention to what they're being told and to basically not fall into belief of it right away. But you have to be careful also on that side, because just like you may not be persuaded to believe what is being thrown at you, there is also the diabolical feature of not believing things that are actually true. So truth becomes fluid. What is real and what is true becomes questionable. And then we begin to discuss it in terms of, well, nothing is actually absolute. And then what will happen is we'll move into a world that becomes ambiguous. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a horrifying thing. But because I am a child of an era that loved science fiction, movies like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Star Trek, they paint a very strange picture of worlds when things are not absolute, when things are ambiguous, or there is no real truth. In these environments, that can become very problematic. So I think we all have to very much take a step back. We have to pay attention and be grounded in what we have known to be factual, and then move from there. And then, of course, if you have time, the wherewithal, whatever you're looking at, whatever you're reading, whatever you're consuming, if you have an opportunity, perhaps run down to your local library, read another book on the topic, maybe check a little bit more carefully where that story is coming from. And I have to definitely, this is the moment I have to give a shout out to some of these fantastic um, broadcasters in the YouTube space who are in the squatty space, because some of them, the detail with which they backtrack and pull down news articles and highlight things that have been featured, and they make these comparative analysis. Some of these folks, their research ability is, I mean, it is almost CSI level operations. They are moving data and pulling down information and comparing information. And when you're looking at what they are analyzing, it is absolutely fact based. And I find that very intriguing. So there are some of these squatties that I definitely have to give a shout out to, because in a 10-15 minute either TikTok video or YouTube video, they are able to piece together pieces of information and evidence that is phenomenal. So that is where we will start here, because that is also the method in which the topic that I'm going to get into. So, once again, for those of us who are not out there or not out there running errands, you're not sitting at home drinking coffee, but you're getting ready to do a little bit of exercise, hey, let me report to you. I have to report to you, and I'm going to also put it in the comments that I got my walk in. I have to walking path, and I was making, I'm going to put on here that I was probably about 1 mile per day. Okay. 1 mile per day. And so I want to know how you did on your steps. If you were in the walking phase or if you did bike rides, please put in the chats some of your physical activity if you had any to put down for the week. And then I went to the gym. Yes, I did. Monday, and I'm going to type this as I'm saying it, and Friday. And I want to tell you guys, on both days, um, I want you to know that I did some sauna time, okay, because it was phenomenal, especially last night. So for those of you who are doing any type of workout activity, please make sure you drop in the comments how your exercise routine is going. Some of you may be doing yoga, some may be doing walking, some people may be jogging. But if you're doing any of that to try to stay fit and stay healthy, or even just because you enjoy it, and I'm hoping that you get a chance to put on my little YouTube podcast while you're participating in some of these activities, because I want you to enjoy that. And then know that we are encouraging each other to try to keep up with that. So you too, kick it in, stay fit, and let's get that going. All right. Because we want to encourage each other. There's nothing, I'll tell you something. Okay. Side note, I'll tell you something. It is really difficult to feel good, even when you catch a cold, catch a virus, or get sick, or have the flu. I want you to know it is very hard to continue to feel good if, in fact, you don't. If it is at all possible to get yourself up and out and get moving. Oh, thank you, I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you, Doree Wiley. Thank you so much. I am so glad that you were able to join me this morning. Thank you. And I am looking forward to continuing to chat along. Thank you so much. So, but yeah, you really feel much better. It's really odd. You will tend to feel better if you get up and get around or exercise a little bit. You don't have to do a lot, but just moving, walking, stretching, all of those things. Everything counts. All right. So we want to make sure we encourage each other to do that. Now, the big news of this week, one of the major talking points that spread across the news like wildfire is the um, delivery of the book Endgame. And this book, Endgame, was authored by Omid Scobie. He's in this photo here, if you can see that. Now, Omid Scobie actually had a job with the royal family household, rather. He was actually a member of the reporting team, which is referred to, I believe, as the Royal Rota. Now, you have to understand that there are levels to the personnel that work the beat. You know how in the old days they would say like you were working a beat, like the like the police walked a beat, and that meant like your section of operation. But there are several layers to how you operate and what beat you're walking when you are a reporter for all things royal. And let's remember, let's try to clarify. And of course, it depends on where you're coming from, where you're from, as to how you might understand this process. The members of the royal family and the fact that the royal family exists in the UK is part of their tourist attraction. Much money is made in the UK simply because people travel there from all over the world and would like to see where the queen, right, resides. They wanted to see the palaces, and they wanted to see the gardens, and they wanted to see all of these things that were associated with the royal empire. You know, the queen and the beautiful gowns and the jewels, and so that was a huge business in the UK. As a matter of fact, there is a GDP amount which is related to how much of it is taken in the UK due to the fact people are traveling there and want to see the palace guards. I mean, there are people who stand in line just to watch many of the soldiers that work around the palace. They like to just see them on horseback, or if they're marching and changing positions. There are people who travel from South America just to come and see that particular event. So things involving the royal family are a business, right? They are all a product. And so, in order to keep that product basically on the shelf, well, it basically cannot be tainted, right? In other words, you can't put poisonous food on the shelf, people won't buy it. Well, the royal family operates similarly. It is a product that is delivered to the rest of the world for you to consume, and it makes money. Now, the responsibility of making sure that the rest of the world is always interested in all things royal family, that responsibility falls on the shoulders of many of these reporters. And there are levels to the types of reporters that are involved. There are the reporters that are made aware of important events that the royal family might attend. And those reporters actually are listed to get a phone call, and they're expected to show up and then talk about that event and how wonderful it was and how wonderful all the royal family members were. And then they might take a wonderful, flattering photo. And that is what the product that is being presented. Now, those reporters are some of the more intimate, closer, I would say, personally assigned, and many of these reporters are actually known by name by many of the royal family members. And then there are a group also of reporters that they may they have kind of a little bit, I don't want to call it freedom, but they're given a little bit more leeway because they're allowed to just glean stories. And by glean, I mean it in a old fashioned term, meaning they're able to go out and pick up the crumbs of stories that might not be specifically designed at that higher level where you're at the dinner and you've been invited to the dance and then you're supposed to do a story. These people are able to glean stories from conversations offside. So, although there may be a royal event going on and people are in the party and looking posh, these reporters, they're not really invited in, but they can talk to the guy who drove people there, or they can interview the maid of someone who is there, or the person who is preparing the meal, and they can write stories about things like, well, yeah, they had duck and things like that. Okay, so they're kind of the second tier. Well, Almond Scobie worked kind of in that realm, the second tier. Like, he might hear about a story from another level, and then he may be intrigued by what that story may mean in another way. And so his book, Endgame, is more of an analysis of how the reporters work, how they get the stories they get, and how they deliver the stories they get. And this is actually more about the meat of this feature in game. So here's what happened to him. Okay, if any of you are following what's going along, basically, he started to report various stories that had been printed about the royal family. Now, one of the main stories is this situation where Meghan had discussed that members of the royal family, Meghan, and I'm going to say Harry and Meghan, all right, they had discussed in that Oprah interview the fact that members of the royal family had been concerned about the color of her babies. Now, worldwide, this was interpreted as a negative thing, like, oh my God, why would somebody do this or have a conversation like this about the color of children when the wife is biracial? But anyway, needless to say, the whole world has a million opinions of the idea. You know, everybody in the world has a thought. Is it racist? Was it racist to say it? Oh, is it not racist? Well, you know, I've got mixed race children, so maybe it's not racist. Yeah, on and on and on. Anyway, that is actually not the point. And this is where the trick of the UK media comes in. The UK media made that conversation, is it racist? Is it not? The entire conversation. Endgame, however, is about the fact that people will make a comment or say something or have a concern, or they will perhaps have a particular discussion they want to have in the royal family. However, members of the royal family may leak this information or spread this information or give a different take on the story, and they're actually giving that information to reporters. Now, the picture that was painted is that the only people out here damaging the royal family is, of course, Harry and Meghan, right? Endgame, however, is a discussion of both past and present stories that were weaved and manufactured possibly by royal family members. That possibly royal family members were creating stories, creating drama, creating negative scandal around other family members when they needed to. So, for example, and this is an offside example, if in a motorcade I was riding along and we were going a little bit too fast, and a elderly woman walked out in the crosswalk and we hit her with our car or motorcycle and she died, A story like that about an individual in that motorcade, that would be a story we would not want to have all over the front pages of the newspaper every single day. The fact that my motorcade ran over an elderly woman because we were going a little bit fast. We don't want to talk about that. We do not want to have that story out there. We do not want to have reporters going to the family's house and asking, hey, how do you feel about the fact that a royal family member ran over your grandmother? Right? We don't want that on the TV news. We don't want to see that show up on BBC. We don't want people discussing how many people have been run over and killed by royal family members, right? We don't want to have that conversation. So, what was happening, what in game outlines, is the method by which something like that could occur and how it might be in a newspaper twice. And then, as soon as possible, the story would move off the front page, it would move out of the headlines. You wouldn't see it on television, but we'll get back to talking about what is racist and what is not. Right? We'll go back to talking about something like that, which is neither solvable or a topic that is going to be agreed on in any way. So what's the point in even bringing it up? Now, same thing, likeliness, right? Part 2. We're also not going to discuss, for example, in headline news, how many millions of dollars or millions of pounds rather have been, I'm going to use the word confiscated, from deceased family members in the region, where the proceeds go to the royal family if you have no will. Right? Many of us we've passed over the story, we've heard about this story, but yeah, it's not. Is there a panel of 6 people? Have you flipped through 3 channels of BBC television or ITV or Talk TV in the UK? You're not going to pass by 3 or 4 channels where there are 5 or 6 people discussing, well, how much money was it? How long has this been going on? How many family members are without the wills, or if there was no will in family X, how are those families living? How are they doing? Right? How are the children of a family how are the children doing of a family member that perhaps did not have a will? Did they lose their house? Did they lose their car? Are they able to live? Where is the 4-person panel discussing that? Right? But that hit the newsstands, maybe last month? That story featured in the news maybe a day or two? I'm going to say maybe 3 days. And then it went off the page because here's what the fix is. Oh, well, we're going to take all that money, we're going to put it in a charity. Thank you. Okay. End of story. Click, 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 click. Shut it down. Now, really? Really? That story is over? So all of the deceased family members, let's just say last year, we didn't even go look to see who they were. We don't have any names. We didn't talk to any family members. We don't know how their children are doing. How many people in that area do not have a will, but they had assets? We're not gonna talk about that. Were there 10 family members that did not have, were there 10 family members where the father or the mother passed, but they actually had assets? Maybe a little plot of land out back? But there is no 5-panel, no 5-panel head game talking about, well, where did the money go? How much money is it? Should we give it back? None of that. Did Piers Morgan come on his show and brashly announce, well, we've got 30 people who died without a will, and that's 30 families that have lost assets? Has he done that? No, he didn't do that. But here's what he did from a bullhorn. let's talk about what's racist and what isn't, because that's what his show is. His show is about, it's his show is about nothing, right? It's just like the people that he's bringing on right now. Oh, should you? Is it a Palestinian issue, or is it? Are they Gazans, or is it Hamas, or is it the Israeli Defense Force? What is it? Okay, so here he is. That's all he's got going on his show for every other day. Let's talk about that, right? Let's get you hyped up on that. But it isn't. There's nothing to be fixed, right? There is nothing to be resolved from all of that, right? There will be nothing accomplished in that discussion, just like in the discussion of is it racist or is it not? There is nothing to be obtained at the end of an hour of talking heads going back and forth about that. Nothing. But that's, again, that is the focus of Endgame. Now, I understand that there are many people who are saying that they don't want to support the book, they don't want to buy it, they don't really feel that kind of vibe for the author, Omid Scobie. And I understand that. I tell you, I'm fully behind you. I don't know if I'll actually purchase a copy, but I will tell you this. I love my local library. Let's support your local library where you can go in there and get anything for free. Okay. But, and that's because the information itself, I think, is valid. The excerpts that I have gone through so far have been very informative. And although he said he didn't mean to name names in the Dutch version, but then he later came back and said, well, maybe it was in an actual earlier draft that was given to them. Whether he meant to name names or didn't mean to name names, that's going to be questionable. That is, of course, something that they're going to have to deal with going back and forth. I don't know if this controversy will help his sales or not, but I do hope that the book itself is somewhat successful in penetrating what it's actually discussing, and that is the method in which these people behave. Okay, so we're going to take a short breather here, people. Once again, I'm going to remind you, please like, share, and subscribe. Take a second if you wish. Go ahead and make any comments if you have any that you would like to throw out there, if you have any thoughts, or if you have anything that you would like to add to this discussion, and then we will continue on. Of course, for me, I'm going to grab a sip of my coffee because, yes, I actually had coffee. But I tell you, I think I need that to kind of keep my throat going. All right. But that's the in-game portion, and that is what is happening there. So just keep your mind's eye on it. And what I would say is pay more attention to the actual discussions in the end game. And yeah, he did name names in all of the events. And some of these people, we're watching what's happening to them in their political careers right now. So just keep your eyes open on that. Now, on the flip side of the world, because of what was happening with the book Endgame, we wanted to have Meghan and Harry come outside and make some sort of statement and, some sort of hoopla. They didn't do it. I am glad that they didn't. I was kind of crossing my fingers and saying, please don't come out and say anything. Please don't make a statement. Because remember, the whole worldwide UK talking point, because they're talking out of both sides of their mouths, right? They for every year that goes by, it's we're sick of hearing them. We're sick of hearing about them. We're sick of hearing about them. And out of one side of their mouth, and then on the other side of their mouth, they want them to say something. They want them to do something. They want them to show up somewhere. And the key is the only people who have had them in the media actually has been the tabloid media. They show up on the pages of all of their papers. They show up everywhere. But every photo is old in general. Every photo is a paparazzi photo, unless Harry and Meghan happen to be out at a particular event. But it's the UK tabloids that are constantly throwing them out there in front of the media, bringing their pictures up everywhere you turn. And so I am glad that they have maintained a little bit of distance from paying too close attention to what is going on with them. So I am hoping that they stay in that place, not paying much attention. So we're going to just keep our eyes on that ball. Now, the main thing that's happening right at this moment, though, and what we're going to keep our eyes on, of course, is again, I'm not reacting to these things day to day, but let's go out there and talk and have a short chat about it. What's coming up right now is the fact that the court case, Harry is still going to be continuing all of the court battles. And the reason is because they're going to drag them all out, right? The UK legal system is going to make sure that they drag these things out as long as they possibly can. Because these big corporate entities, that is one of the reasons that they can deter people from filing lawsuits. They drag them out forever. It will cost you quite a bit of money as your lawyers try to stay on top of it. And they know that because usually they can just simply beat you down. With Harry, however, they are aware they have a more difficult challenge. So here's what we have heard, I'm going to say, at least in this last portion, where we are at the moment. Now, his court case was supposed to be reviewed by several judges earlier this week. And it would appear that the judges did their review, and several of the topics are about security, but more importantly, how the decisions were made to either continue his security or to remove his security. The situation, the conversation was primarily about how the decision was made. Like the entity that would have had a lot of input on whether or not Harry and Meghan were supposed to maintain security, like a security presence as they traveled. That decision was made by RAVAC. Now, RAVAC is the affiliate that actually supports the royal family directly. They are an entity of security that they keep in touch with some of the higher level investigative and policing agencies so that they try to stay ahead of potential threats. For example, if there has been a credible threat and let's say military intelligence knows about it, or the French Interpol, they are aware of it, or let's say the United States FBI heard that there was a credible threat, then this institutional arm, RAVAC, as a security agency, they can gather all of that information about threats made against the royal family, and then they can act accordingly. They know, okay, we can't send so and so, we can't send William over to Ireland because there is a credible threat against his life in Ireland. And they are aware of these things because other policing agencies and all the other institutions are working together to ensure that RAVAC gets that information. Now, the key is RAVAC had people who were working within its organization that made specific recommendations about Harry's actual security, right? So now let's understand how that work may work. Now just think, let's kind of think this through. And the specific names are actually listed in the court documents. And I don't have them, but you know what? Maybe if I find them, I'll throw them on the community page. But let's take a thought process. So, the people who are providing your security, for reasons not exactly clear to you, decide you're no longer going to have security. Now, the reason given is, well, you're no longer a working royal member. Okay, fine, right? No problem. So he asked the question, well, that's not a problem. I'll pay for my own private security. No big deal. Okay. However, when you go to the UK, your private security, they have to remain unarmed, right? So, next question. Okay, well, Can I have some police protection by people who are armed in case of some really serious threat? Well, the answer he's given, no, no, you can't, because we don't rent out policemen. Okay, all right. So you don't think I need armed security while traveling or in the UK. Now, of course, stateside, he can pay for security. In the States, no problem. Our security, they will be armed. Okay? And I don't care if you, it doesn't matter if you were the Girl Scouts and you hired a security guard. They're coming strapped, but that's the United States. But in the UK, he is told, well, your security here in the UK, they're really not authorized to have weapons. Okay, so you want to take armed security away from me. You don't want to have the police looking out for me, right? You just want me and my security guards to just kind of walk around willy-nilly and shout at people. And so that is the crux of the conversation. How was that decision made? And this is where we are in this legal climate. Now, what they thought that people were going to be able to say that the security agency RAVEC, that supports the royal family, basically who takes their commands from either the king or they took their commands from Prince William, right? It would appear that that is the agency that injected their opinion. So it had to have been done either because the king said do it or Prince William said do it. And therein is the problem. Why is he being asked to do things differently without any assessments, without any real investigation? They just made the decision. And this is where we are right now in the court case. And right now, they are going to decide, should they proceed with the court case, or should they just say to him, no, we're not going to proceed and we're going to dismiss it? Well, here's what happened. The judge decided, no, you have a case. We don't know what it is, but now you have to prove whatever that case was. And we're going to, now, of course, this is still continuing the drag out, but I hope that Harry sticks to it and continues to drag it out. The key here is, especially with all things Sussex and even to ourselves, you cannot get weary, you cannot get worn out, and you cannot get tired, because he is in it for the long haul. This battle between him and his family, because this is the type of people that they are, if you want to call them a family, right? They are a pseudo organization, with their own plots and schemes to keep themselves looking like a product you want to purchase. Remember that. But at the same time, they have to try to smear anybody who is causing them grief or making them look like a product you don't want to buy. So I hope that our family understands this battle is forever, because as long as something exists outside of them that seems to draw a better to draw more attention, that this family will continue to fight against it. Because if they don't, they understand that, like any product, people are going to stop buying it. Okay? And that is their problem. So they have their conduits and their mouthpieces that are out there injecting all kinds of nonsense into the fray, things to keep your eyes off of the broader picture, things to keep you from seeing and hearing what you're actually supposed to be paying attention to. Because overall, what the world has to decide, and it is absolutely up to individuals to decide. Do you want to purchase the UK royal family, Or are you tired of paying for that product? Is that product serving you? Or do you feel you're putting money into a product that is of no value? Because that is really what is happening. And this is what is making the fear grow in the UK media. Why? Because they're interconnected, as InGame pointed out. You are not going to buy or purchase any of these UK tabloid products if they don't give you stories and drama and nonsense that you want to read, right? You're not going to continue to purchase it. And they know that. They can sell 1 million copies, right? My favorite, one of the favorite Inquirer stories here in the US used to always be whether or not Elvis was spotted somewhere, right? A picture of Elvis was always on the cover of the Inquirer after he died, right? Whether or not the person on stage was actually an Elvis impersonator, or did Elvis come back from having actually passed away, and was he still performing? That piece of trash article would sell a lot of papers, because in the US, of course, many people would purchase it because it was funny, but a lot of people would purchase it because they were Elvis fans. And then, of course, the UK tabloids might not be quite like our tabloids here, because just like in the movie Men in Black, our tabloids here used to always have some alien story, UFO story was always somewhere featured on the main page, because that was popular. We were watching so much science fiction, it was unreal. And those tabloids made sure we were fed that. It's a product, right? And so we have to always understand that what the UK family, the UK royal family is doing is they're doing everything to keep themselves alive by fighting to keep their product on the shelves. All right. So, guys, I know I've kept you here. I know too long. I told you it was going to be short. Well, I thought it was going to be short, but well, I'm doing my best. But I'm about to wrap it up here. So I'm going to just take a moment here and scroll through and see if I have any comments that I need to take a look at. All right. Let's thank you so much. Let's see who's here. I've got some people saying good morning. Good morning, LB King. So great to have you here. Thank you for coming and joining in on All for Success. And I tell you, I do appreciate everyone who has the time to show up and join in. It is really great to have you all hang out here with me. And don't forget to report your wonderful, wonderful um exercise stories, because I'm going to be looking for those. I want you to know that. Don't try to hide out on me. Just don't forget, I'm going to be looking for those. And thank you again. Also, let's see who this is. Miss Diane Flanders, thank you so much for joining in. And let's see what she says. She says, Prince Harry is a fighter. Yes, yes, he is. Just like Princess Diana. And that she once said she will, I think this means she will be the end, and Prince Harry is her son, right? And, you know, I don't know if she could sense this about him. I really don't. I wonder. But I totally agree with you that that the spirit of Princess Di, whatever things she was going through, whatever she was trying to overcome, that spirit is what is a part of how he moves and he operates. And I've got to tell you, I am really pleased that he is doing that. So as we wrap it up, once again, I told you I always come from the aspect of parents of adult children, and I want you to know that Miss Doria Ragland, just from afar, Miss Doria Ragland from afar, I'm a fan, because I know what it is like to be that parent, and you're watching your children, whether they're dealing with things that are just very difficult or whether they're dealing with things just on the day to day. You want them to do well, you want them to succeed, and you also want them to have a sense of peace in their existence. It's not a lot to ask, but it is tough. And as adult parents, we all know how it can be a little difficult to maneuver through that path. So, we're going to just definitely keep our ourselves on their side. So, I want to leave you with this thought as we are, again, adult parents, and I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, have to say one more time, like, share, and subscribe. Invite all your friends. And I'm going to try to do a little bit more work to polish up my podcast, but I'll do the best I can. But I just want to leave you with this. Look, in difficult times, if you question the why, if you question the why in the difficult times that we are having, and that's everyone, sometimes a way to look at a possible answer is that you need to do good wherever you can, wherever it's possible. You do good and you do what's righteous, right? And remember that you want to keep in mind doing things for good work, okay? And of course, if you're, I'm not trying to convert anybody, but if you're looking for reference material, remember, I'm sorry, I'm an old school person, so King James Version of the Bible is where I go. But you can go to any type of supportive network or process that works best for you, right? But just keep in mind, difficult times, sometimes when we're asking the questions about why something might be going on in our lives or why something is happening, you know what? Get up and go do something good. Get up and do some righteous work. If you see somebody in need or if you see something happening that needs to be right, fixed, corrected, try your best to do that. Now, I'm not talking about going on a crusade unless that's what you want to do, but I'm not encouraging that at all. But just the little things, it's the little things. There may be some young person in your neighborhood that needs a bike and you got one in your garage, right? I've got some stuff in my garage now I need to give to some people that probably could make great use of it, right? Something good. Do someone a favor, right? Hold the door open. Sometimes that will help you answer the question why in difficult times. And then also on that high end note, and that's a good thing, remember that you still have to keep vigilant. And by vigilant, you need to still pay attention. You need to keep your eyes and your ears open still. Because you know what? Evil is on the constant move. It's not like negativity and bad people are going to take a day off. They don't. They have an energy level that is almost unmatchable. So that's why you have to develop your strength and gain your strength from doing good stuff and being there, not for yourself and others. So remember that. And of course, I know many of you are familiar with the wonderful passage that no weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. Sorry. Keep that in mind, right? When you feel like, oh my goodness, this is about the last thing that I can take. I just can't take it no more. Just understand that sometimes folks out there moving things around and trying to trip you up, often that will not prevail. That often, in fact, that will turn things right side up for you. So stay vigilant and stay focused. And I tell you, we're in this again for the long haul. So I want everyone to continue to support the Sussexes, but moreover, support this channel, All for Success. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as I get myself a little bit more growth, we're going to do some more fun things. And thank you all again for participating and coming to All for Success.